as a naval engineer later that year in March. Upon successful completion and in celebration of the Royal Canadian Navy's 75th anniversary skill set, on one occasion while in Port Angeles, Charlie was eager to demonstrate his leadership ability, and after a couple of beers with his fellow engineers, he decided that an 18-wheeler had to be moved. It was in their way. So he took charge of that. I guess he was... Remember that? Yep.
Your family's going to know.
Yeah. I guess he was thinking about his roughneck days back on the oil patch. Needless to say, the local state troopers thought otherwise, and after a short visit in their establishment, and after international consultation between them and his command team, Charlie was able to return to the ship.
You know, I took the ferry from Port Angeles back to Victoria.
Officially.
My daddy's a jailbird.
That used to use around here for everything. Short trips and stuff. On one of his deployments, he was an engineer on board YDT-10, which sailed in concert with YDT-11, supporting FTP's surface supply diving trip, which, of course, was Ken Ramsey's and my initial deep dive trip. During that trip, Chief Petty Officer Daryl Skelrod was the training chief at the time, seen a diamond in a rough, and recruited his keen stoker, and Charlie's career as a clearance diver began. He subsequently became a ship steam diver, went through a remuster process, and went on his clearance diver 2's course in September of 1990.
It all happened in 1 year after being going on the trip with them.
Fast track.
Yep. Was a good fast track. In fact, it meant things weren't going very well. He sure used that a lot throughout his career. After a while, it became, "Hey, Hammer." Started laughing about that. I remember a time in 1998, Charlie and I went on the reserve trip, which is now known as the TMI. We were on the road for a little over a month, and we ended up golfing in almost every city that we visited, and Charlie won every round. Now that, with Charlie being a very good golfer, I was taking a lot of good pointers on how to improve my score. But the more I watched Charlie, the more I said, "Tabernac!" And time to really start to enjoy life. From all your brothers at GTF2, we wish you a very happy and long retirement. You will be remembered. Petty Officer Joe Perry, UCD, Dwyer Hill Training Center. Charlie, a sad day indeed for this tight-knit community as you conduct your last free dive check to take the final plunge at the best diving unit in Canada. However, on a happier note, a Memorial Day for you and the Savard clan as you transition back into city life to enjoy the remainder of your years as Mr. Savard, and a day of reflection of the many accomplishments you made as a Canadian clearance diver who served the Canadian Armed Forces and the RCN proudly. Charlie, I personally wish to thank you for the many sacrifices that you made throughout your 28-plus year career, knowing that they were both professionally and personally challenging and at times stressful, but nonetheless, you made significant contributions to both Canadian and non-Canadian citizens, be it with your support and effort to defeat the global threat of terrorism, with your participation in Afghanistan mission, or bringing closure to families who lost loved ones in Swiss Air. Thanks. 5 bells passed and repeated for the last time. Take care. KP back in there.
Right on.
Salute, Chuck. Margaret and I wish to congratulate you and Gina, should be, sorry, typo.
That was after. That was after.
Is that after?
That was after I answered anything.
Okay. On your retirement from the Navy. As we know, you never retire from the diving family. You just earned a jammy shore posting with some per diem. Always a welcome at our home in the Okanagan. Thumbs up, Milk, Skelroot, C1, CD4, retired. I was lucky as Chuck, brackets Charles, Savard was my student on his 2's course in 1990. It was an honor to have him there. Chuck was a quick-minded and very happy person. He was a smart diver and an excellent team member. I know that this man brought a lot to the diving branch. Chuck, you were a very nice person to have as a student. Cheers and enjoy your retirement. Dan Orban. This came all the way from Paris. Thanks. Have a great bash. This is from Chris Deere.
Of course.
Man with 2 words this time.
This would be Paris. Of course it would be Paris.
Please put a beer in his hand for myself and Steve Giffen, and of course, we'll see him on the bottom. Cheers, Rob Williams. For Chief Petty Officer Chuck Savard. It's funny with retirements because on one hand you're sad to see someone go, but on the other hand you're jealous because you aren't there yourself. I always think of Charlie as being somewhat atypical for a diver. Quiet for the most, mature-ish, and not particularly full of himself. Another one.
Which one's Charlie?
And please stay in touch. 5 bells. Commander Leanne Kroll, DDIVest. And that's all I have for here. So we'll get into
Charlie. You know, it's definitely an emotional day and stuff like that, and you can tell by the crowd that's here the appreciation for your career in the Canadian Armed Forces, the diving community, you know, exemplary, and your commitment and what you've accomplished for us to carry the torch forward. We can't go without saying thank you and thank you enough, and you'll see that within the rest of what we're doing next. Gina, your support to Charlie as we go forward and where he has been and stuff like that. You're key to that. And we never, in the community, the CF, and etc., we don't go without saying too much that the family of where supporting the member and him doing his job at all the time. You guys are instrumental as a family of helping him out in that regard. So we can't say that enough as far as our thanks. And you see that there. So one thing I am disappointed though out of all of this, being a stubble jumper myself, I'm disappointed at the repertoire that he would utilize. Of just using hammerhead when Walter commonly hears and the coxswain commonly hears things like knucklehead is part of my repertoire. So I'm really disappointed that never came up. Or numpty is another common one from being a stubble jumper that weren't utilized today. So I'm sure that he can spin a few more bits on those terms, being a fellow stubble jumper himself. So, out of the to be a true role model for others. We're very fortunate to have dedicated people like you leading by example in the RCN and representing Canada in countries around the world. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. I commend you for your fine work and your contributions to the Royal Canadian Navy. On behalf of the people of British Columbia, I thank you for your dedication. Signed, Christy Clark.
So anyway, Charlie, from the diving unit, we usually get this other little really cheap plaque, but we went all out this time. We melted like about 100 pounds of brass, and we gave you a really good plaque, so you can hang on to your wall. So take the big anchors right in the stud. Yeah.
I really don't want to hear what's in our party. From there. Charlie and I worked in MCM and trained together. It's been great. We're sorry to see you go, but I'm really happy that you get to retire. I wish it was me. So we got a couple of things. Sean and I are going to present a couple of things from the training department. The first is our helmet. A picture of our helmet to Chief Petty Officer Charlie Savard on your retirement, 31st of May, 2013, from the FDU.